Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar on the Baristas training program. My name is Greg Lockwood and I'm Stakeholder Coordinator at the BC Centre for Employment Excellence. For those of you who are not familiar with the Centre, it was created in 2012 with funding from the provincial and federal governments to act as a research and knowledge sharing organization for BC employment service providers and employers. The Centre's mandate is not only to do innovative research, but also to find ways to share best practices with BC practitioners and employers and better integrate evidence into practice. We created this webinar series as a way to reach out and connect with practitioners. Through this series, we have highlighted new research by the Centre, but are also tapping into the knowledge and expertise within the employment services community. You are invited to view the video recordings of previous webinars that we have posted on our website. So today's webinar shines the spotlight on a program that has refined the raw talent of hundreds of opportunity youth over the years. Young people that are out of school and out of work, and many of whom face serious life challenges. Starbucks is just one of a number of corporations betting on this untapped demographic to help make their business succeed. We're going to hear from Judy Crooks, who you can see beside me here today. She's the Starbucks Baristas Program Coordinator. And she's going to tell us about the partnership between Starbucks and Pacific Community Resources Society that evolved into one of the Lower Mainland's shining examples of youth employment programming and training. So without further ado, let me introduce our presenter, Judy. Judy Crooks has been with PCRS for over 8 years, where she has held the roles of career counselor, special projects facilitator, youth case manager, and Work BC facilitator, to name a few. Today, her warmth, curiosity, and passion for working with opportunity youth come alive as program coordinator for the Baristas training program. Judy's career has spanned many fields. Her experience ranges from working at Delta Airlines to owning a bed and breakfast, as well as a restaurant and bar. These combined experiences have given Judy a unique outlook on life and an ability to connect with participants and staff alike. Her curiosity and warmth over the years have made her a valued employee and leader, which is exemplified by the many youth who remain in touch years after working with her. Today's presentation will last about 45 minutes, leaving some time for questions and discussion. You are encouraged to submit questions and comments to our presenters in the questions panel, questions feature of your panel. We will address questions at the end of the presentation. We're going to try a couple of new or almost new things today, as you can see. So first, in replace of the remote carts, we are turning the cameras on so you can see, you can get a visual sense of Judy's passion and energy. We're going to leave the camera on for parts of the presentation. And second, the presentation is going to be delivered in Prezi format, the link to which will be made available on our website. So we hope that everyone is able to see the presentation on their screen. As always, if you have any issues, please send a note through the questions or chat box. So we hope you enjoyed these fun changes to our typical webinar format. And now it is my pleasure to hand over the microphone and the camera to Judy.
Thank you, Greg. And thank you for the BC Centre for Employment of Excellence. I really appreciate you asking me to do this. At first I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to talk about? But I soon found that I have lots to talk about. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed putting it together. So we're going to go to our first slide, are we, Greg?
That's right.
Okay. So, first slide. Okay, so this is our funders. I want to talk a little bit about this because this is important. This program wouldn't be anything without having our funders. But before I go to our funders, I want to talk about PCRS, Pacific Community Resources Society. I am very, very proud to be working for them. They have the same values and mission that I do. We are a nonprofit. We've been around for 32 years, 1984. We've got programs all the way from Vancouver to Chilliwack. I'm going to name a few of them because I am very proud of them. We've got addictions and preventions. We've got that both with youth and families and adults. We've got family support and counseling. We have lots of housing with the youth and for adults. Also education. I'm very proud to have, we have five schools that we put on. One of them is West Coast Alternate. It's the first in Canada for FASD youth, so that's something really to be proud of too. We have lots of youth programs. We have iRail. iRail is award-winning. These our staff, they ride the SkyTrain and looking for youth that might be lost and need some resources. They have lots of goodies in their backpack and resources in their pocket. We've also got in Surrey, we've got Stop Exploiting Youth. We want to make it good, safe communities for our youth. We have a couple of we have 3 actually youth centers. We have 2 in Surrey that have been long running, and we have the BYRC, the Broadway Youth Center in Vancouver, which offers lots of great resources for the youth. It's new building. It has housing up above, and it's got medical, and it's got showers and all things like that. Finally, last but not least, we have our employment. Now, employment's a large part of our program, of our agency now. We are the main leads on 2 Work BC centers, one in Surrey and one in Vancouver. We also have a self-employment program in Surrey, which is very successful. We have a job readiness, Surrey Job Readiness. Now, it used to be called Job Options. It's been quite long running also. And also the Baristas training program, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So up top, you see Access Blade Runners. Oh, sorry, Greg. I have lots to talk about here still. You see Blade Runners. We would be not here today if we didn't have our funders. And their Access, which is Aboriginal Community Career Employment Services Society. And it's Blade Runners that have funded us since 2012. We have a great partnership. And they are all across British Columbia. Maybe some of you listening are part of Blade Runners. At the bottom, you see our Starbucks. We have been partners since 2003. I'm very proud to say that because that's a long time. That's 13 years. They have been the only suppliers of our work experience. And in the early parts, I am going to talk about the history, but in the early parts, they contributed grants and in-kind contributions. So they've always given a little bit of money also. In 2014, 2 years ago, we really hit the fast button. Starbucks in Toronto head office wanted to commit to our youth of Canada. So they decided that they were going to open 3 locations and fund them, one of them being us because we've already been doing it for so many years, and one in Calgary, Toronto, and now we have it in Montreal. When that all started, we started consistently having a program in Vancouver. We always had our program in Surrey since 2003, but now we also have a program in Vancouver. So we run just a week apart, and so we are able to get to more youth than just Surrey. Now, also, Starbucks and Work BC have partnered. Starbucks, it started in Toronto. They, around the end of 2015, they want to commit to hiring 10% of our youth that and that's how it started with the mayor of Toronto, and now it's come to Toronto, it has come to Vancouver, and they are really playing an important part of this. They're really committed to giving these opportunity youth a chance to work, but I also am going to talk about that. So what's in it for Starbucks? I remember when I first started, I thought, what would they want this for? This is lovely that they're giving work experience. But there's many good things that they've told me through the years, and I see it, witness it with my eyes. Of course, it's an extra set of hands, which is always really important, filling up the milks and things like that. It's a chance for the partners to learn to lead, to pass knowledge on, to test their leadership skills. It helps the partners feel like a bigger picture, more global. It also teaches them how to understanding and empathy. How about inclusion, including everybody? Those are but a few of the things that Starbucks tell me that they get out of it. Now, before we go to the next slide, I just want to point out that we have that picture there. We celebrated our 500th barista to go through the program in 2014, and so we have to the left, we have a lot of the Starbucks people. We have we have the Starbucks people, and then we have our executive director, Ingrid, is in there, and then we have Caleb and myself. So let's move on to the next one. This is one I'm excited to talk about too. It's about the team, because we would be nothing without the team. It takes a team to put a program like this on. I always say the facilitators, I'm going to introduce everybody here first. I'm in the green there. We have Tomoko over to the left, and Tomoko, she is a facilitator in Vancouver. We have Rob over on the right. Rob is just 2 months into with the team. As you see, Alejandra has had a baby, so she's off on maternity, and Rob is covering for her while she's away. So the team always has a foot in yesterday, helping out, making sure that their jobs are keeping their jobs. They have a foot in today. They're facilitating and mentoring and guiding, and they have a foot in tomorrow, because they're always, before we know it, we're interviewing and setting up for the next cycle. It made me think when I was, as Rob is new to and we were looking for someone to replace Alejandra, of what we look for in a facilitator. And you know, I hate to say just facilitator, because they are so much more than that. And I just want to talk a little bit about that, because they are a very, very, very important part of keeping the youth engaged in this program. So what I found is really the facilitators need to be a career practitioner. There's lots of soft skills that they're going to be teaching, but those, we really need them. This is an employment program. We really need them to know how to give the best resume, to teach the youth how to do a resume, cover letter, how to do those job skills. So that's a really important part, but they also need to have a bunch of resources in their pockets, so that, because there's also other needs that the youth need, like I mentioned, housing and maybe food, things like that. So a strong facilitation skills, that's really what they need to keep the youth engaged. When I talk to the youth, they say to me, oh, the classes are really interesting. And that's because they have good, strong facilitation skills. Sorry about all that noise. We have something going on outside. They have to be a positive role model and a trusted mentor. You know, you can't fool them, and they will see right through you. So being a good role model, it gives us a chance to really live a good life, because we want to be a good role model. Now this one, uplifting and enthusiastic. Rob did notice this right off. He said, oh my goodness, this is a really important one. And it is. The youth are tired, and there's lots of anxiety and depression. So you have to bring a really uplifting spirit to the group, because then they feed off of you, and they are an uplifting, enthusiastic group. Good classroom management. We're dealing with at-risk youth, barriered youth. Now, I don't like to necessarily say at-risk and barriered. I love what Starbucks calls them is opportunity youth, a chance to give these youth an opportunity. Now also social skills, social media skills. That's a really important one, because that's how we keep in touch with the youth. We very seldom talk to them on the phone. We text them, Facebook. They're always, every morning they check. Some that don't have phones, that's how we find out what's going on. Of course, there's the job development, always sending them to job fairs, keeping updated on all jobs that are out there. And the job coach, assisting the youth to maintaining that job. That's the hardest part. So as you see, there's lots of skills that these facilitators need. Now, as far as myself, I am part of the week down in Vancouver and part of the week in Surrey. I believe that it's really important to keep unity into the group, and so that everybody, they need their support too, because these are my staff are it's trying times at times, right? It's fun, but it's also trying. So they need my support. We need to all have a support. So that's what I do, and then I try and squeeze in all my paperwork, which I have to in between this time. So I think we can go to the next slide. We're going to talk about history. This was very interesting for me to find out. I sent out all my emails to the past people that had a touch of this program, and I really enjoyed learning how this all began. Now there you have a picture of John Coward. He's a former employment service manager at PCRS. He isn't there any longer, but this was John's vision. So in 2001, John was at a function, and there was some Starbucks management there, and he said, I want to thank you. We really appreciate all this coffee that you have donated and the goodies, but what these youth, at-risk youth, need is they need an opportunity to have a job. Well, it just so happened that the person that he was talking to took it to heart and took it back to Starbucks. And it took a year and a half to really work this all out, because this had never been done before, a nonprofit partnering with such a strong brand also. So at the same time, John was writing a proposal for a Skills Link program. So wow, so as it all comes together, in enters John Solano. John Solano is a family counselor at PCRS, and he put the curriculum together. Now I just want to make sure that I get this all to do it justice, because this really is what the whole thing is about. It was the empowerment philosophy, a trauma-informed integrity approach. Now I know that sounds really heavy. John was able to explain it really well. We've got lots to cover, so I'm not going to, but if you really want to know more about it, you could email us and I will put you in touch with John. But this program was based on intervention, experience, and curriculum that would address the undiscovered and unaddressed trauma within these at-risk youth, while at the same time inspiring them towards a deeper and truer, more empowering self. Accountability, responsibility, integrity. Now this program was very successful. It had a high employment rate. I had incredible support from the community and from the stakeholders. Actually, this whole program really changed the entire landscape for youth employment programs that could deliver and accomplish something, especially with a name brand like Starbucks. Now, this continued on. It was a strong, a very strong program. In 2004, the Baristas won the BC Career Development Award of Excellence, presented by the Career Management Association of British Columbia, to honor inspirational leadership and excellence in career development. Now, this continued on, but much to our dismay, in 2012, the funding stopped. The federal government's funding stopped. So in comes Blade Runners. They knew what a good program. We had a few months of a lapse of nothing, and then they stepped right in and said, you know what, we can use a good program like that. So thank you for Blade Runners for stepping in and not putting a stop to this program. Okay, so also we can move on to the next one. A big part of this is our learning centers. Now in Surrey, especially in Surrey, the School District 36 Learning Centers, we have a unique partnership with them. They give credit to the youth for coming to our program, and sometimes this credit is just enough to get them their grade 12 education, their certificate. It started because the youth would come to the program and get a job and then go, you know what, I'm not going back to school, I don't think I need to, it's not that important. But we know that a grade 12 education is important, and we always encourage that. It gives you those higher paying jobs. So Mark Flynn, who actually now, he worked very hard in 13 years ago, he now is a principal at one of the learning centers in Cloverdale. So he worked hard making sure, because we had to make sure that we met all the qualifications, that they were doing the right work, that could give them this credit. So we were able to do it because this is not full-time school. When they're going to the learning centers, the youth are only going about 6 to 8 hours, maybe a couple hours for 4 days a week, if they go. So, but it does encourage them. This little bit of getting the credits and getting their grade 12 really encourages them to move on. We have some quotes here. This one came, I'm going to read it to you. It came from Paul Bruce, who's at the City Central Learning Center. They are a large inner city learning center, and they work hard to keep their youth in school too. So he said, the Barista training program at PCRS has proven to be instrumental in student growth, both professionally and personally, time and time again. The compassion, patient, and industry-informed staff at the Barista Training Program provides students the opportunities to gain employability skills and the confidence necessary to enter into the workplace in an encouraging, safe environment. Participants feel comfortable to take healthy risks and steps to practice these new skill sets in the classroom and the workplace. It's an incredible partnership between PCRS and Starbucks. The next slide, we have a couple more. I'll let you read the first one, but the second one, you know, it warmed my heart when I received it. It was at the end of the school year in June this year, and it just came. It was an email from Nada from the Guildford Learning Center, and it lifted all our spirits because we do work hard, but wow, when we can get a reward like this. And she said, "Thank you for all what you do to our students at the Guildford Learning Center. We send you raw, young, impulsive students, and they come back mature, ready to work young people. I'm always so astonished that with what you do with the group is able to accomplish with our young people as you make these at-risk youngsters believe in themselves, rise up to the challenge, and they become job ready." And yes, that's what we hope we do. So let's hear about the program today. What's this all about? Well, this is Henry here you see on the right. Henry graduated in 2015. Henry was a quiet lad. He hardly said anything, had lots of anxiety. He hadn't been to Canada very long. Well, now Henry, he comes to all our grads. He speaks. He always has wonderful quotes. And he comes to our class and just gives a little pep talk. He has been remarkable. So that's the type of growth that we see and the success we see. But how do they get into this program? Well, who's eligible? Well, ages 16 to 30. Barriers to employment. Now, these can be lack of grade 12, no completion of school. They have no work experience or no Canadian work experience. They don't have any certificates. Maybe there's dysfunction at home, so it's hard to move forward past that. Maybe there's housing issues. We know that if you don't have a place to live, it's really hard to concentrate on the program or finding employment. There may be past addictions. Mental health. There's often our highest barrier that we notice is anxiety and depression. So they think they're the only ones that feel that way, but we know that the whole class, and we want to give them a safe environment for that. And you know what? It may just boil down to confidence. They just don't feel that they have anything to offer out there in the working world. Now, they can't be a full-time student. They have to be legally able to work in Canada, which is, of course, no school visas, and also no EI client. So it's pretty basic. It's probably like many of the other programs that are out there. So how do they apply? Well, we encourage them to look at the website. We have lots of good information on that. If anybody wants to look at it, it's www.pcrs.ca/baristas. And we've got all the information that you actually need to do that to find out about the program. But we also offer 2 information sessions for Vancouver and 2 for Surrey. And we often have a variety of who comes. We have workers, we have parents, and we have youth that come that are interested in the program. You don't have to be referred to come to this program. You can be self-referred. With Vancouver, we find that the information sessions are not quite as successful as Surrey. Maybe it's because we're still new there. We've been a couple years. But what we find really works is going one-on-one to the youth centers and really sitting in the rooms and talking one-on-one. They come up to you and you tell them about the program, and that seems to be working very well. Now, they're encouraged to apply online. So there's an application to fill out. We would like a resume, and we would like a cover letter. Now, in the letter, we would like to know, why would you like to be part of the program? What are your barriers to employment? And what are some of your achievements? We don't just want to know any of the negatives. We want to know some of your achievements. Sometimes this is the first letter that some of the youth have ever written. It's a little scary, but we say, we just want to know what you're all about. And your resume doesn't have to be top-notch. We just want to know what you've done. Everyone gets an interview if you meet the requirements, because sometimes this is what the youth find. They go and they hand out the resumes, never hear from anybody, and it's discouraging for them. So this is a good example for them to really try out a resume in a good, safe environment. I mean, resume and interview in a good, safe environment. Now, interview questions. We really want to know who we're getting. We've got our letter, we've got the resume, but it's the questions that are very important too. We want to know, are they very serious about getting a job? This is an employment program. The outcomes are employment. We really want them to be ready for a job after. Why do they want it? Are they dedicated? It's 150% they have to put into this program. There's a lot to put in, and it's not something just to dabble in. We also have to let them know that we run a tight ship here, and it's not something that they can just dabble in. Now, how do we decide who we put in the cohorts? That's a tough one, because as I mentioned, we have to have employed people. So in Surrey we have 12. We aim for 12 in the group, and in Vancouver we do 10. We try and put the people that we think would match each other, the age group. In this time we have an older group in Vancouver. We want to maybe try and keep it a little bit older. In Surrey we have a little bit younger, 17 to 24. Maybe we have some higher needs. Those higher needs have to be balanced out with maybe someone that's a little bit more self-sufficient. So it's just a matter of trying to, but we certainly don't want to discourage anybody from the program. We always give people that don't get into the program something else that they could do, going off to Work BC and getting a case manager. And we always say we're not going anywhere. Maybe you need to sort out your family issues, your personal issues before you actually make the commitment to the program. I like to say we're loving, and I'm dead serious when I say that. We're loving, we're kind, but we're compassionate, but we're very strict. We can't have any absenteeisms, and we can't have any lateness. That isn't fair to Starbucks to send them there, and that's not reality out in the working world. So that's what we're very conscious of, and we say that over and over. So what does a curriculum look like? It's probably not too far from what a lot of you out there have. It's a 9.5-week program. We have 5 weeks in class, and then we go off 4 weeks into work experience. Now, while they're in the 5 weeks in workshops, the first 2 weeks are a lot of life skills. We want to get a strong foundation. Communication, so conflict resolution, self-esteem, self-care, because like I said, anxiety and depression, how are they going to take care of themselves, especially in a working situation when it can be very stressful at times. We have Work Safe come in and do a live after 5, so they learn how to work safely. We do a nutrition Save on Foods tour so that they can learn to eat healthy, and again, that makes you a healthy citizen too. Personality dimensions is a very popular one. That's finding out where your personality is with the colors, and they always, how to work with each other. They always really, really enjoy that one. Now, the second 3 weeks, that's when we really concentrate on employability skills. Now, these are the skills that are going to get them a job and keep them a job. But also we introduce Starbucks. That's da-dum, because that's the big thing. So they first they learn what are their skills, because when we ask them what are your skills, well, I don't really have any. So we do skill sorts. Let's start at the basics here, and let's find out and so you can be proud of what you have. How do you actually do job search? You know, it's really big for us to say, well, you go do your job search, or how's your job search going? What is job search? So let's talk about that. Of course, our resumes and cover letters, we want them to come out because those are the tools that are going to get them their interviews. So we really want them to come out with some good ones for that. Now, also, we start, like I said, talking about Starbucks. We have a store manager come in, and they do a first impressions workshop. Oh, the youth are so excited about this because they learn about bean to cup. What is fair trade? They also learn how to do a coffee tasting, and how to smell it. You gurgle it, similar to what you do with wine. So they really enjoy that. We go shopping for work clothes. We want to set them up for success. That's such a rewarding part for me. We all go out, and you know, we can get it done in an hour. It doesn't take us long, but you see them walk out of the dressing room with their outfits on, and it's just warming to the heart because they're ready and they're going off to work. So Also, we have a meet and greet with the assigned store managers. I'm going to talk about how we do that, assign the store managers. But the meet and greet, it eases the anxiety for when they're going to actually go into their stores. So they get to it's amazing, they're so quiet, they're so nervous at first, and then by the end, boy, we have to, excuse me, because the level has gone up because they're feeling so much more relaxed because they've got to see that their store manager is human and they get to know them. We also have a past barista, like I mentioned with Henry, come and talk to the class to really hear how, coming from a youth's mouth, what it's all been about, what it's going to be like to go off into work experience, because we can say don't worry about this and that, but coming from their mouths, it just means a little bit different. So the supports, what supports do we provide while we're doing this? Oh, sorry, I just want to talk about the certificates, because we can offer 6 certificates, and those are big, because that's what makes the level of their confidence come up. Now, my funder says I have to have 5, but we give an extra one, 6, which is cashier training. They first get first aid, level 1. We have women's, which is hazardous goods, food safe, world host, which is excellent customer service, serving it right, and cashier training. So there's lots of deep in-class training that they have to go through, so they earn every bit of these certificates that they get. So now moving on to the supports. We give them bus tickets throughout the program, like I'm sure a lot of other programs do. We also give them hot lunches and snacks. We found that lots of hunger is a big issue, so we need to have them so that they concentrate on what they're learning. So we're busy making soups and stews and wraps and everything, and we're having some nice snacks for them to snack on. We also have a training allowance that we offer them. It's $900 per youth, but it's how we distribute it is very differently. It works out to be, I'm going to talk about that too, because that is also a challenge. It works out to be about $75 a week when they're in class. They get bonuses for when they complete all their certificates, so I encourage them to do that. And then it goes up to $100 a week when they go into work experience. We want them to have some spending money in their pocket so that they can get their needs. When they finish work experience, they get another $100 for completing that. They come back for a few days and they get another $75. So $900 is what they get in all. Also, Starbucks is very generous by giving us $40 gift cards that we give out when they go off to work experience. This enables them to try the food so that they can talk about it to the customers, and also it solves the hunger problem too. Okay, so that's about it. Clothes, also the clothes, work experience clothes. We usually give them 2 shirts. We give them a pair of pants, socks, some sturdy shoes so that there's no hot coffee being spilt on them. And we've just now started with a hygiene kit. Laundry soap, because that laundry is one of the highest costs, as I say. And also we want to make sure that they're smelling good and their clothes are clean for their work experience. Anything to help them be a success. So work experience, well, that's 4 weeks, 4 days a week, 6-hour shifts. Boy, they complain about having sore feet after that. We match them up to the stores that is not too far away from their housing. It doesn't always. I mean, they often go, geez, there's a Starbucks just next door, but that's not a Starbucks. It's been offered to us at that moment because they take turns at having youth. And so we don't want them to go on the bus too long, but we also want to try and match them up for a personality. The store manager's personality that might match their personality, or something that we feel will work well together. I always give a new store manager, we have about an hour store manager orientation, and I talk about what Starbucks is, what PCRS is about, but also how the program, so that they understand what the youth have done before they actually get in the store. I always tell the store managers, meet the youth where they are. If they have a training program, but if you don't feel that the youth, if the anxiety is just getting so high when every time you want to put them on the hot or cold bar, it's not important that you keep them there. You can give them a try so that they feel that they've tried it when it's quieter, but meet them where they are. They're all at different places. This is why we have opportunity youth. They're youth with different problems and different issues. There's no POS work. There's no cash work, so that's a big relief, because that in itself, that's why we give the cashier training, so that they are able to experience that. They usually have a trainer once a week that comes in and does some official training. They also are supplied a mentor each day so that they have somebody to follow, just so that they can ask those questions and feel comfortable. The facilitators, they do site visits once a week. They go in and they meet the youth and they find out how they're progressing. They also talk to the store managers to make sure that everything's okay once a week at least, whether that be through email or phone or just maybe in person. Now, some of the tasks that the youth do there, I just want to share that, because it's not something that they're just there in the corner. They are really, really teaching them, and I feel so appreciative of Starbucks for this. Of course, there's a customer support. That's refilling the lids and the milk and trash removal, washroom stocking. Sometimes that's not the favorite of everybody because they want to get onto the bar, but that's certainly an important part. They do the coffee grinding and brewing the coffee. Now, we may think, huh, that sounds simple, but it's not really. There's those big machines that they're working with. Also, there's the pour-over method of coffee, so that's in itself is a training. They have to prepare the sanitation and be able to use the dishwasher. The warming oven. Now that is, they have to be familiar with the food. They're all in codes, being able to warm it, making sure it's going to the right person, calling out the name. Now I've got here whipped cream. Whipped cream sounds like it's simple, but I haven't had a class that hasn't said that the whipped cream has exploded almost in their faces, because there is a way that you have to put that on. There's the cold and the hot bar, of course, where that's what they want. But then, lo and behold, some people find that's not really what they want, because it's a pretty fast-paced environment right there. So to bring out their shyness sometimes, a good thing that the store managers do is they do samplings. So I see success in that. The youth walk around and they have sample trays of drinks or food, and it gives them something to talk to the customers, and it really builds their confidence. They get to do lots of coffee tastings and knowledge. There's anything that Starbucks starts, and I've been to the mall where we were just recently with the president of in Canada of Starbucks, and they did a tasting right there. A meeting doesn't start before they all have a tasting, and then they explain what the coffee beans are and everything. So the youth get used to that. And then, of course, learning the beverage sequencing. That's a big thing that I hear them talk about. So I had to mention that. I'm not sure what it is, but I guess what it is making sure, because that's how you are able to get that drink out there successfully. Now, on Touchbacks, we have a Touchback on Friday. They only go to work experience on 4 days, but they come on the 5th day on the Fridays and do a Touchback. It's only about an hour long. This is to discuss the challenges and successes. Boy, there's a level of conversation because they haven't seen each other all week. And what are you doing? Oh, this is what I like, and la la la. We also have themes. Maybe first impression, like what was your first impression of the store? Did you set a good first impression? Feedback, being able to take the feedback that maybe the partners are giving them and not taking it personally. What to do when the honeymoon stage is over. Okay, this was fun at the beginning, but I don't know. This is kind of like work. I don't know whether I'm liking this. Well, what to do about that? They also do their thank you notes to the store managers and partners. This is also a chance for us to give them their bus tickets for the week, and also give them their $40 gift card. They also sign their, we pay them by direct deposit. Some of them with ID problems or banking problems, we also have a check, so we have them sign. So it's a fast hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and but it's a very rewarding one also. Okay. So, successes and challenges. Now this picture is Rob and myself out in Surrey, the new Civic Center by the library there. Isn't that a beautiful picture that they've got on the stairs? Challenges. I've broken this down, challenges for the program and challenges for the youth. For the program, distribution of the money. Remember I mentioned about the money, that I was going to come back to that. Well, when we used to give it steady $25 a day and this and that, it didn't work out as well, because I need them to come and do the certificates, and oh, they were sick. Oh, and then I'm not getting paid because I have to supply these and I have to prove that I'm supplying them for them. So having a completion bonus for, I haven't had anybody miss any certificates yet. And also the bonus for after the work experience. Now you may say, doesn't everybody finish work experience? But let's remember, this is, they're not used to working. This is hard on their feet. It's hard getting up in the morning. Wow, by that 4th week, sometimes that's when we really step into overdrive, and you can do it because we want them to feel good about themselves and and be able to complete it, not finish it. So the distribution of the money has been something that we've worked with, and I think we've come to a good balance now. The length of time. Now, we used to have 3 weeks that we do the work experience with the class, and then they go off to work experience and then come back for a couple more weeks, finish up all those workshops. It wasn't a very good idea. They had lost their interest. They had already done what they'd come to do. They'd gotten almost all their certificates within the first 3 weeks. They'd gone to work experience. What more would they possibly need? So it was a challenge to really rein them in, to keep them coming. So we found that best to load it up at the beginning, because that's when they're enthusiastic about it, and then we have to debrief it. So we have to have a few days near the end. So that's what we're finding is really working. Now, male versus females. We have in this program, of course, with baristas, it seems to be mostly females. I like to have a few males. It seems to bring good energy to the class. So we always have at least a couple of males to come into it, and just it balances it out. Vancouver youth, that's been a challenge. I know there's lots of youth in Vancouver, but Vancouver is a very expensive place to live. The youth have higher needs here also. There's a lot more homelessness, there's a lot more hunger. So finding the youth, that's why we only have 10 in our groups in Vancouver, because we want to, it's more challenging to fill the class up, but we also want to have quality too. We want to make sure that I'm meeting those outcomes. Commitment, late, absentee, that we say it over and over again. We can't have that, but again, that can be a challenge, and we have to address things as they come right away, especially in the first little while, because it will only get worse if we let anything go. But of course, we want to be kind and loving too, and we don't want them to feel bad about themselves. The youth not wanting to work after the program. Oh, wow. We talk about this in the interview. You want to work? Yes, I want to work. Well, then all of a sudden, they come out, they finish the program. A few just go, no, I don't really want to go to work. I'm maybe going to go to school. I'm going to go into post-secondary. Where did this come from? Again, my outcomes are employment. So we really trying to make sure that we keep that in tow. The different stages of the youth, every one of them's at a different, they've all got their different challenges. We have our rules and our policies and our procedures, but we also meet each one of those youth where they are too, and we address what we need to address at that time. The relationship with Starbucks, challenging. We work very hard that it's not. It is one of the best partnerships, but I still bring this up as challenging because we want to make sure it's strong. We can have a youth go into a store and do a lot of damage if we don't keep an eye on it and address it as it comes. So that's why communication with the store managers is the most important thing, is really letting them know that we're there and we can help. We'll remove anything that goes astray. So, for the youth. Okay, so these are the challenges for the youth. Getting up in the morning. They're maybe doing a lot of videos at night. Youth like to stay up late. I know that. I think I used to stay up late too. And making the commitment, they made the commitment once they come to the program, but keeping that commitment, because they've had a lot of failures in their lives too. So we really want to just really help them finish that. Life hits them. This is, I always tell them this, the John Lennon quote, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. They've made their plans, they've been accepted into the barista training program, and wham, something hits them sideways, life. we remember these youth have a lot of challenges in their life. So wow, we've got, I call them the saboteurs, maybe the people in their life that are not really wanting them to succeed. This can make them stumble. And we can't solve their problems, but we can be there and mentor them and walk them through this, because these are not, isn't just going to be the first time. Life is full of that, as we know, when those of us that are out there in the working world. Bad habits might be the challenges for the youth. There might be the gossiping, the swearing, the bullying. There's anxiety. There's conflict within the group. We really, really want them to come away feeling like they have accomplished something. So that's it. The successes, oh, I love the successes. You know, people say, what's the success of this program? Well, there's lots of success. Every one of them that walks through that graduates is a success. They are walking taller. They've got their confidence. They did it. They've got all those certificates. They were able to work at a first-class company. They may even get hired at Starbucks. How wonderful. Now, Starbucks have committed to work experience, but they don't have to hire the people. But with their 10% Work BC commitment, boy, they're sure open to hiring our youth. In the last cycle, we had 6 out of 7 hired, not necessarily by Starbucks, but hired. 9 out of 12 were hired. As in the last 2 years, 64 out of 151 youth have been hired by Starbucks. Now that's really great, like I said, because they don't have to do that. And I know that, and a lot of that was not necessarily that it could have been the youth weren't ready at that time for Starbucks. Okay, that's it. We had a great interview here with Curtis. That, as you can see, Curtis here. We had a little bit of problem with our audio, so I want you to check this out on the blog post next week, and you'll hear it. He has a great story. He just graduated just a year ago. He was shy and introverted, and he has got hired at Starbucks, and he just got voted as employee of the first quarter. So he is doing really well. He has come out of his shell. Listen to his story. It's an incredible story. I'm very proud of Curtis. So evaluation, how the participants grow. This is Fiona. Fiona graduated from the program she was about 2004. She went on to work for Starbucks, and then she left and raised children and did other things, and now she has come back to Starbucks, and she is a store manager in South Surrey. So she has a great story, and again, a good example of how people can grow. We got lots of those. So how do the participants grow? Well, how do we test that? How do we know that? Well, we do a pre and a post evaluation based on the Employability 2000 skills. So they're self-evaluated. What are they like before? We do it at the very beginning, and then we do it after their work experience so that they can see how they have grown. Also, 2 weeks into the program, I have an interview with every single one of them to see how they're doing. This is also a chance for me to address any issues that need to be talked about. Those things like, can you soften your look on your face? Maybe not to be so argumentative, but also to say, boy, you're doing a really good job. Thank you, you're a good team player. So I get to hear what they think of the workshops and everything like that through that. A work experience evaluation. After they come out of work experience, we have an evaluation of what was one of the positives, what could they improve on. We learn lots of how their experience, and we pass those on to Starbucks also. The grad speeches. Boy, sometimes we don't even know what's going on until they stand up and say a speech. And then they may find out that, boy, they hadn't been out of the house in the last year. And so what a progress that is for them to be standing up there and speaking. Also, just completing all their certificates, passing the tests, the exams, that's in itself is a big thing. Okay, so that's that slide. Our next one is words of empowerment. Now, we've brought these forward from our past also. Integrity, respect, and gratitude. Every week they are given little stickies, and they're to put on what they have done in the week to represent that. Now, integrity, that's a word sometimes, what does that mean again? Even us, we go, what does it mean? That's their moral compass. What's the right and wrong? That's what's making them feel right or wrong. Respect. Are they respecting themselves? Are they respecting others in the group? Are they respecting those at Starbucks? And also, are they respecting the earth and our environment? Gratitude. Being grateful of what they have, even though we all would like something more. Grateful for Starbucks for offering, grateful for Blade Runners for funding us, just grateful for living where we live. Now, I'm able to like we do with our classroom guidelines, I'm able to come back to these words at times. Something happened a few months ago was the youth were at work experience, and they, one day, 6 out of 11 on a Tuesday didn't go to work because they were sick. Now, wow, I was devastated. How could this happen? Had they all gone on Facebook and decided they weren't going in that day? I had lots of time to think about this, and it worried me why it would be. And you know, I was able to go, how can I address this? Because you come too strong, especially if we come to the end of the program, you're going to lose them because you're sounding a lot like my parents if you're going to get on my case about this, right? But also they have to know that that wasn't acceptable. So I was able to come back to these 3 words and have them just sit together and say, think about in the past couple of weeks, did you live with integrity? Did you live with respect? Were you respectful of everything? And did you have gratitude? And I think that at least I was able something to address and to follow back on. And like I said, I also noticed at the start the facilitators often, when there's classroom management problems, they come back to the guidelines, the classroom guidelines, so that they can have that to fall back on. Okay, so we're moving on to Grad and Beyond. There's a grad group, and there's our pregnant Alejandra there. Like I said, they return 3 days after they've done their work experience. There's a lot of low energy then. Again, just because they've already done what they need to do. So you have to keep your energy up. This is a time that they really need to get their resume spruced up with all those new skills that they've learned. They also do personal job search. Maybe they come and they go, you know what, I really didn't like Starbucks. Maybe it wasn't that it was Starbucks I didn't like. It didn't like that fast environment. I'm okay with that because not everybody is for every job. So I always say that's okay. At least you know what you don't want. When we're going to do job search, let's find out what you might want. Would it be more hostess, or is it more in the kitchen, or maybe what type is it? Is it retail? So we're able to redirect, and they're able to do their job search. They're able to practice their interview skills because we want to have that practice, 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 be able to ready because we're at the end of our program. They're going to be going to some interviews. Preparing their grad speeches. This is a big one. This is scary for them. As we know, talking to anybody out loud and being public speaking is hard for everybody. They also find it hard. Oftentimes they come up to me and say, oh, I'm not very good. I don't think I can do this. I always say everybody has to do at least 2 lines because if I let one person not do it, then everybody will not do it. So you know what? They usually more than 2 sentences. They have lots to say. And it's amazing. You see these youth that they're so soft-spoken and so shy, and they have the most beautiful grad speeches. When we have grad, we have the board members come, we have all our stakeholders, parents, friends, whatever, to come. We only give out, this is another one of those trial things, we only give out their completion of the program at that time because we want them to come back for something in the next week because we want to see what their plan is. We want to get them on a plan because it's easy. They're on a high, they graduate, they're so proud of themselves, so they should be, but they need to get into a plan before it's too late. So having the certificates, to be able to give the certificates really brings them back to see us. Also, you know, we have follow-up for 3 months, like I'm sure other programs. I have something I say, once a barista, always a barista. You come back. We have people coming back after 10 years, 5 years. They just want to maybe get a new plan and regroup. Maybe they want to give back and they want to do some talking to the baristas. We have all different reasons. Keeping in touch after they've gone from the program is a biggie. That's why Facebook is the way we do it. You think that they all look at me like when I say, and keep in touch, they go, well, of course we would. We really care about you guys. But you know, that's just the population. They're just busy and they're on to something else. So we really, we have to make sure that we are always emailing them, texting them, not emailing because they're not going to answer those, and going on Facebook. So what's next? That's where we're going to go here after this graduation. What's next? Well, I hope that these are all our 500th Barista celebration pictures. I'm hoping that we're going to celebrate 1,000 baristas have gone through soon. I love our partnership with Blade Runners, and I hope to continue with that. I hope we even get more numbers so that we can grow on that. Expanding with Starbucks. Starbucks are committed. They would like to see this in every province. They would also like to see it in every region. So would I. We have had interest. We've had delegates from Korea. We've had delegates from the Danish delegates come, interested in how we run this program, because it's been successful for 13 years, and so they want to see what's going on. We've also had some other employers approach us, interested in putting some type of program for the youth on. So we talked to them, and we still are talking and putting things together. So I can see a big future for the program, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you all, the audience, because you've let me blab on about my passion, because I am so passionate about this program. I also want to thank all the past baristas for being good ambassadors for this program. That's really, really important. I'd also like to thank the Starbucks staff and PCRS staff that have touched this program and put their touch on it, because it wouldn't be what it is today if everybody hadn't put a little bit of it into that. So I want to continue with this program, and we want to give these opportunity youth a chance to be good employees and good citizens. So thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you, Judy. So I think what we'll do now is I'm just going to shift the microphone and the camera so that we're sharing the screen together. It's only fair, right?
Yeah, there we go.
We had a few questions come in during your presentation. I want to start out, though, with a comment that came in. And this participant says, they love hearing how Starbucks is investing in youth and assisting them to achieve success. Thank you. Yes. So I wanted to share that with you, first and foremost. We had a really interesting question come in earlier about like how, and this is a tough one, how would you even think about replicating it if you wanted to bring something similar to somewhere outside the Lower Mainland? So, you know, you're maybe logging in from somewhere, perhaps in Prince George or in Kamloops or somewhere else, and you think, wow, this would be a great opportunity to implement something this meaningful and impactful in our community. Do you think there's any chance that they could, you know, approach their local Starbucks, or do you have any ideas for
absolutely. You know, I go back to the history of let's, you know, go right. Don't be afraid. This is, you know, this job really is about, don't be afraid to go out into those employers and ask. And it does, all they can say is no. But with Starbucks, gosh, look at, they want it to go into all regions. And so why not try it? Why not go to other employers and it's getting a good relationship. Like I say, I can't say that strong enough, is keeping a good relationship with Starbucks is so important. And that's what leads to other employers going, wow, they have a good one, and it brings more. Okay. I hope that answered that.
Yeah, I think it does. And one final question, and this is an easier one. Someone was asking about the work placements and how long they were. So another 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Fridays are off.
Yes.
And how many hours?
6 days a week. And that's four
days a week,
and 4 days. Yeah.
6 hours a day.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And I think we're right at about 1 o'clock, so we're going to wrap it up there. That was the perfect time.
That was.
Perfect timing, I should say. So again, Judy, I want to thank you for your presentation today, and thanks, as Judy mentioned, to all of you for attending. I did want to say something. You talked a little bit about graduation. So before we get into our ending statements here, I just wanted to say. We really got to experience just a little bit of that when our colleague here, Susanna, was invited to the graduation in the spring, and I got to tag along. And it was amazing to see. It was so impressive to see the youth, we didn't get to see them at the beginning of the program, but how articulate and professional and personal they were with their speeches. It was really, really incredible. Just so impressed with how that experience in this program in just 9 weeks touched them. So well done to you and your team. So today's session was recorded, and we're going to post the video of the presentation on our website and send you the link in an email within the next week. And as always, we welcome your input and feedback. So when you leave the webinar, you'll be asked to complete a short survey, and we would appreciate it if you took a minute or two to do that for us, to share your thoughts. It will help us immensely in planning future events. We would also appreciate any suggestions you have for future webinar topics. That ends our event today. So on behalf of our presenter, Judy, and my colleagues here at the center, thanks for participating in today's discussion, and have a great afternoon.